All right, hello. We're Finals 3. We're here to talk about the penetration tests we recently conducted against US's network to hopefully enlighten and inform you about the findings that we found along the way. I'm the leader of the team, and here I'm Zach, and here with me I have...
I'm Mark. Nice to meet you.
I'm Nia.
I'm Zachary Hampton.
I'm Riley.
I'm Bryce.
So first I want to kind of talk about our methodology. So starting back before, on the initial test we did, we kind of started with an OSINT approach, making sure to have an in-depth understanding of the sorts of network and network information put out online by your employees, to try and capture a proper picture of the sorts of information that may be leaked online to better understand what's in your network before even beginning to step foot in the network. Following this up, we then can begin the assessment with a foot forward, understanding what we're about to go into of the better approach. Try to understand and locate the vulnerabilities in your environment thoroughly and completely, and then validate those to be able to provide a more thorough and complete approach than what you could achieve on your own with a vulnerability scanner such as Nessus, providing a unique validation and verification of the issues containing in the environment.
Some of the key strengths that we did notice within your environment, first off, the network isolation, when it was still up in the environment, prevented us from being able to see any of the devices on the corporate network, which prevented us from being able to enumerate anything or tell what was running or any details about anything located on that network, which makes it significantly harder to begin any form of attack without any information on what you are going up against. Another key strength that we were able to find was the passwords for some of the admin accounts had improved their complexity, which will make it significantly harder to brute force or decrypt any password hashes that could be pulled from the systems if there was a compromise or data breach. Another one that we located was that the containerization of several services throughout the environment, it was done using Docker, which means that if a threat actor were to locate a service and be able to break into that, they could not simply migrate out of the service into the full machine without first breaking out of that Docker container. And this allows for another layer of security between the service running in the Docker and the host machine that would be running everything else also.
So some of the key findings that we had were, most importantly, there was generally poor password hygiene. There was a lot of password reuse amongst the services through key accounts that had high privileges, and also importantly, on the guest network, on the kiosks, there was no password required for the administrator account. We were able to get in very easily and simply.
Yes, and utilizing this first initial vector and analyzing the kiosks that were on the guest network, we were able to find pretty long and strong password, which is a plus for the Cozy Croissant, but kept in clear text password that after checking the corporate network that we were able to access from kiosks, it was password that allowed us to get access into domain administrator for all the Windows machines. And also it was the root password, so administrator password for Linux machines. This gave us environment-wide administrative access to all of the devices. On top of that, after investigating Active Directory, which is user directory in the environment, we have found that all the passwords are being kept in clear text, so they are easy to read. On top of that, some of the passwords used by users are pretty simple, which could be an issue with hackers being able to perform, for example, dictionary attacks. Also, few of the internally hosted services were using simple passwords or easily guessable passwords, and because of that, threat actors might have easily get access to those services and tamper with company data. Also, we have performed social engineering campaign by calling the front desk of the Cozy Croissant in order to solicit PII information. More on that will tell my peer Zachary in a moment.
Wrapping back to the kiosks, when we were able to get into the kiosks, there was no password in the admin account, and we were presented with a internet browser that was locked down. We were able to then escape this by editing the page to then direct to a different page where we were able to download an arbitrary file. We were able then to open a file browser within the context of the internet browser. And within the file browser, we could navigate to administrative tools and open up these tools to then gain full access to the system.
So during the test, we were given a safe to test to see the security of the locks on the safe. So this had 2 locks on it, had a keypad, and it had a physical key lock. So we were able to find 2 vulnerabilities and exploit those successfully. So the first one being is that there's 4 holes for mounting, 2 in the back, 2 in the bottom. And you're able to look through these holes and press a reset button on the inside that completely resets the pin if you just stick something long inside of that hole. And then that lets you set the pin to anything you would like, and then anyone can open up that safe. And then there was also a vulnerability with bump attack, which is just basically there's a really thin spring in the safe, and it's what holds a pin to keep the locking mechanism locked until it's unlocked by either that pin or the key. And when you take that spring and kind of jiggle it, it might bounce that pin down a bit. And so you can tap on the safe and it'll bounce that pin around. And if you jiggle the key at the handle at the same time as the spring's down, then you can unlock it, and then you can get full access to that as well. With this being said, though, there are a few ways to keep these safes and not have to go out and look for new safes if you would like to keep the safes that you already have. So they can either be mounted through those mounting holes in the safe, and then that way no one can access the safe through any other method like the inside of the safe without it being unlocked. And then you can also have something like kind of wedged like between like the top of the safe and like maybe like a ceiling or something if it's mounted in a closet, and that will cause it so you can't apply that downward pressure to the top of the safe that would depress that spring.
Now on to our social engineering campaign. We called in the guise of being a travel agency in order to potentially gather any information about any of your clients. And while we did have some name disclosure, I believe we had 4 first names and last names, and with that we had gotten room information, including what types of rooms they had and how much they paid for those rooms, using nothing more than just my first name and a made-up travel agency. With that, you did have, whether it was through your own policies or simply not having that information, we did not get any banking information, and we did not get any like home addresses of these clients, which we believe should be commended.
At this time, we want to open up the floor and see if anyone has any questions or discussion topics for us about what we did on the engagement, just to kind of clarify anything you may have questions about.
Cool, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. Do you believe that if we move to the cloud, we could solve these problems?
I think cloud per se is not the solution to any of those problems, because the problems are not with the place where all of those services are located, but the where they are deployed. Moving to cloud might be in this way easier that when starting on a new turf, on a new ground, it's easier to design everything with secure approach from the beginning than to try to reorganize your whole environment to fix those issues. So it might be easier to migrate and start again with secure approach, but I don't think that cloud per se is the solution to the security issues we have found.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, please.
Was there appropriate network segmentation of the cardholder data environment?